Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Startup Chile. Hoping you're having a very nice, wonderful morning or afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're in. We want to welcome you to your first webinar. First of all, congratulations for being selected on G22 seed program and Huella. And second of all, this is the space where you can make all the questions you might have at this point regarding visas and general expenses. My name is Trinidad Garcia. I've been communicating with you through the admissions email. You will be hearing a lot about me in the next upcoming months. I am the community and HR, community builder and HR manager for Startup Chile. And here we have Cesar.
My name is Cesar Jimenez. I'm an account executive here in Startup Chile, and I will be in charge of some of your projects. So I'm looking forward to meeting you as well.
So Cesar is in representation of the financial area, and he will be guiding us through all the financial process. At this point, your questions should be very general, so please don't worry. We will have a lot of time during the next months and once you get here to answer more specific questions, but we are more than happy to go through any questions you might have now. I think we have 25 people online, which is very good. I don't know if we have any upcoming questions. We have here with us Marine. She is our intern. We're gonna show you. She is our
Hi.
She is our intern. In the marketing area. She's helping us with the webinar, so she's guiding us through the questions. Marine, is there anything upcoming?
For now, there are no questions.
No questions appearing. Okay, so some general information. You should have received, each and every one of you, step 2 yesterday, Monday. All the people that have to request a visa, this is a very important step for you because you have to start doing your visa process as soon as possible. The process can be a little bit slow. There's a lot of different governmental entities involved in this, so there's a lot of, we have to do a lot of communicating between consulates, between ministry, between Startup Chile, so we really ask that you're a little bit patient. We will, of course, be overseeing all the visa process for each and every one of you, but do expect to wait around 25 to 30 days until you get your visa stamped, okay? So that is a little bit of a typical waiting time. There are some consulates that work a lot faster than others, so that there will be some of you that will get their visas way sooner than that, but there are others that are a little bit slower and that have a lot more requirements. So yes, please be sure to read everything carefully, visit the consulate websites, make sure you understand what the requirements for your own visa are, and make sure that you're doing everything as fast as you can, okay?
For now, you have a lot of people saying hi, so Luis, Osman, Felipe, and Kenneth says he has several questions, but he's still typing. And Martin is also saying, hello everyone, I have a question regarding visa. It's still typing. Finding a question. So someone's asking, hi there, have a question regarding the medical certificate. Can it be a general certificate?
Okay, so medical certificates will be different according to the country you're in. So again, what you have to do is you have to go into the website, the Chilean consulate website for your own country and see what those requirements are. Most of the times, this involves going to a list that is already given of doctors or hospitals that are approved by the government, and that you have to visit them, probably first get an appointment with them and have a general checkup. For example, for some countries, you will probably have to go through a chest x-ray. Those countries that have a little bit more different health problems. Other countries will be very general and non-specific checkups. So again, you have to, if the information is not given in the consular website, please do call them and ask them.
Luis had a question. Is it necessary, is the visa necessary for Mercosur citizens?
Yes, please consider that the Mercosur is one of the several visas that you as a citizen from Mercosur can apply to. But But what you are able to work and register your company here is given through a fast track that will be faster if you apply with us. So we strongly recommend that you stick to our protocols and our visas. So of course, if you want to apply on your own to a Mercosur visa, you're free to do that, but you won't have our sponsorship, okay?
Kenneth is asking, in the visa form, there's a request for a contact in Chile. Who might that person be?
All the information is given in all the manuals and the information that we've sent you. If you read through that very carefully, you will find that there's my name, the contact address for the Startup Chile office here in Chile. There's a phone number for our office. All the information is given step by step in the manual that we sent yesterday in step 2.
Renato is asking for recommendations for apartments and living accommodation in general.
Okay, so as we are a governmental entity, we are not allowed to suggest
to provide
or to provide information or information regarding private companies, because it seems like we as a government are guiding you to use a specific private service. So in all these cases, in regards to what type of health insurance you can use, where can you live, we strongly suggest that you reach out to the community. So we, as of now, are pretty early in the landing process. So you still do not have the community to reach out to. But in step 3, which you will receive next Monday, you will be introduced to a landing buddy. A landing buddy is a person that has already been through the program, which means he's a supper or she's a supper, and will be able to guide you through all this more day-to-day questions that you may have as to, for example, if you have kids, where can your kids go to school, or all these kind of more domestic questions will be answered by your landing buddy. We will also be providing information of the Facebook groups, which have more than 3,000 participants. And this is a very vibrant, and a lot of people use and reach out in the Facebook groups, and they're very active. So you can also reach out there. Yes. I don't know if you want to add something.
No, the only important thing is that regarding the landing situation, the living situation, sorry, is that you will always have to, if you're going to look for your own housing, you will have to make sure that the provider can invoice you. That's one of the most important things regarding the financial process. But either way, it's fairly up to you, and just as Trini said, get the help of your landing buddy and reach to the community if you need any support.
Regarding the previous question, with the form, the visa form and the contact, he just wants confirmation that it's the same details as in the manual.
Yes, it's the same details as in the manual. So we did the manual pretty much so that it is very easy to go through. So you should be able to find everything you need there and be able to complete the SAC form, the SAC form, just by reading this manual. So along the lines of what Cesar is saying, so Airbnb would not be an option, unfortunately, because Airbnbs do not provide official governmental invoices. So if you want to start looking for places or accommodation, you can always use the co-works address or our office address, which is given in the manual, in the contact information. So a lot of suppers actually stay or live around these areas. Another piece of information is that 2 or 1 week prior to your landing, we will create a WhatsApp group, and this group, with the people that want to participate, obviously this is voluntary. So in this group, we will also be sending out information about places available for you to rent, or any other tips for the community.
There's a specific question from Rodrigo, who wants to know if the name in his carta de invitación was changed.
It was Is he asking?
Yeah.
It was changed? You have a different name in your invitation letter?
Ya, necesitamos cambiar los apellidos del miembro del equipo de community.
Oh, I know who you are, Rodrigo. This is because your team member had her last name changed. Is that correct?
He says typing.
Yeah, I think so. We already went through your case. I think I answered your email this morning. Sí. Sí. Exacto. So yes, this is why it is very important. As I mentioned in the email, you will have a little bit of a delay in requesting the visa for your team member. But as soon as she gets her new passport, do send it along, and we will get in touch with the ministry so that the ministry gets in touch with the consulate of choice to let them know that the person in the letter is the same person, but there has been a change in her last name. But we do need to have the new passport in order to provide the new information to the ministry.
Kenneth has a question regarding expenses. So his team is composed of 4 people and wants to know if it's possible to expense charges from that 4th person.
What type of expenses? Because, for example, for now, as Trini said, we will have, I'm going to give the general
that's a good idea.
overview. Okay. So, as Trini said, don't get too focused on very specific situations. Try to ask now the general information, because once you arrive here, we'll have some workshops where we'll be explaining all the details and the complete process about how to actually do expenses and how to deliver to us your reports about your progress here during the program. So we'll have these workshops and we'll give full detail about this process, which are not very complex, but they have a lot of very specific points. So for now, try to focus on the most general questions. Now, regarding your specific question, we, at this stage, the comment that I can give you, I imagine that this type of expenses are, for example, the tickets to come to Chile and the housing. And the answer to that, unfortunately, is no. We can only approve air tickets to people who are official team members, which means that they appear in the contract. So the team leader, which will be the one signing the contract, which was the team leader identified during the application process, plus the team members that were written during the same process that will be appearing in the contract. Unfortunately, all other employees, for us, they are considered experts, and we are not able to approve, for example, the air tickets and the housing costs.
Okay, so just to complete that information, we can, however, sponsor them with a visa. So this means we will help the employees that you want to bring with their visa procedure and sponsor them, but they will have to run with all the costs associated to getting here. So if they have to, they will have to pay for their own visas, they will have to pay for their own tickets, and they will have to pay for their own housing, in the case of employees. Does this answer the question?
Yeah. There was a few questions asking about the financial expenses that are admitted before the start of the program.
Okay, so what expenses should you be doing by
Perfect.
now?
For now, as I told you, you can focus on your air tickets and your temporary accommodation if needed. So
and visa.
On visa, obviously.
Yes.
So the idea is that all expenses which are like project related, for example, if you need to hire someone, if you need to buy, for example, a computer or a part to develop your own startup, the idea is that all these expenses are registered and done only after you arrive here to the program, only after you have heard all the rules and how the process of the financial approval is done by us. So for now, focus on all the previous expenses, which means that all expenses needed for you to arrive and to have a safe landing here in Chile.
And what about, for example, if it's for hardware like smart glasses?
Okay, so the idea, as I told you, these are very project-related expenses. For now, focus on your own landing here in Chile, focus on your visa process, focus on your tickets, and focus on getting a temporary housing or a permanent housing if you can do it for now. All other expenses, hardware, software, development, hirings, the idea is that you make those expenses only after the program has already started. Okay, not before that.
And what if the founder will be arriving at the beginning, but he's the only one that will travel now, but can he buy the tickets for his team members in 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, sure. There's no problem in that. So team members can also do their visa process later if they want to stay running the business in your home country. We will still help you with the visas, and you can still you can still get the expenses.
And how do they
Reimbursed.
request these expenses?
How do they request?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the step 4, right?
Step 4.
In step 4, you will know actually who is the account executive in charge of your own project. So after that step, you will get a connection line with us, that meaning that you can send directly email to us, and we'll answer all these type of questions which are very specific to your own project. So for now, all of these previous expenses, these are the only expenses that don't need to be approved before you actually do it, because to participate in the program, you actually have to be able to come here to Chile and to live here in Chile. So we don't pre-approve those expenses. All other expenses, as I was telling you before, the project-related expenses, have to be approved by your account executive that you will know after step 4. So any specific question regarding your own budget or regarding the development of your own startup can be sent to us, account executives, after you know who will be the one in charge of your own startup.
So maybe we can tell them what documents they should be keeping.
Perfect.
For the purchase of tickets or visas, etc.
Perfect. First of all, the most important one will always be the invoice. For air tickets, we can accept the invoice, like the formal invoice for the company, or we can accept the itinerary that you should receive in your emails. That you should receive in your emails. That indicates the total value of the ticket. Okay, that's very important. Some itineraries don't have that value, and those itineraries are not sufficient for the approval of that expense after you have arrived here. Okay, so keep invoices and keep all the proof of payment. Proof of payment meaning if you buy, for example, your airplane ticket with a credit card, most likely, you will have to keep the statement of that credit card where the expense was registered. And afterwards, you need to keep the statement that indicates that you paid that credit card. Okay. So all documents related to charges, for example, the invoices and proof of payment. Those will be the most important for this stage.
And there are a lot of specific questions on the plane tickets. So, for example, should they buy only a one-way flight ticket? And what about, does it include bags? Or do they need to pay extra at the airport?
Okay, so that's kind of up to you. Okay, so try to look for the best fit option for your own travel. Depending on the country that you are, it will be the number of legs needed to arrive to Chile. Or if you can take a direct flight, that can also be approved. Probably you will be more tired, but that we can approve that. So that's up to you. Also, we can also approve the charges in case of you need to pay for your own luggage, and yeah.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to being reasonable. Of course, if you're gonna bring 5 suitcases, probably you will have to run with the costs of the 2 extra suitcases. Then again, also remember that you will be reimbursed within your own fund. So all the money that you will be spending by getting here is money that you won't have for your business afterwards. So if you think about it that way, that it's actually your own money, then of course you will probably want to make the best of the money that you have, right? So that also goes for the 2-way or 1-way ticket. Sometimes it's cheaper to get a 2-way ticket and then just lose the ticket back home. Sometimes it's cheaper to get a 1-way ticket, so that depends completely on you.
Yeah, but very important what Trini said is that we Sorry, I lost it.
Que ve su plata.
Oh yeah, remember that during the application process, we told you that the first payment of Startup Chile will come approximately 2 months after your arrival. So as Trini said, you have to be very careful with your expenses because for now you'll be using your own money, okay? And only after 2 months after your arrival, we'll be able to give you some kind of money, even depending if you choose the reimbursement method or you choose the upfront method. But both quantities will come only after 2 months.
A lot of people are saying that they don't have access to the manual, like Daniel, because it's not in his email, but probably because he didn't request the visa, the manual.
Okay, so did you request a visa?
I don't think if it wasn't in his email, it means he didn't
Okay,
request
so only the people that requested a visa will have information on the process of requesting a visa. If you are, if you hold a temporary resident visa, or you're a Chilean national, then you won't have information on the visa process.
Yeah.
But
maybe they're mixing with the handbook too. Someone was saying they didn't have access to the handbook.
okay, so the handbook, I'm not sure what you mean. So wait, if that person that wants the information, you can send me an email to admissions and let me know what you want, what information you're looking for, and we'll send it through. And the playbook, maybe is the playbook. Well, some people that have already or have heard of how Startup Chile works may be wondering where the playbook is. The playbook is a very thorough document that has the entire overview of what the acceleration program itself will be during the 6 to 7 months that you will be here. But that book you will only get on the week of the 10th of June. So you still have a couple of weeks before you get that information. However, we will, on step 3, which comes out next Monday, you will get a calendar, different from the calendar that you already have access to. Well, you will have the milestones of the program. This means like the most important and mandatory dates and activities that you have to be in Chile. So I think it's like, I don't know, 8, 10? I think it's like 10 very, very important dates during the 6-month period that you have to be in Chile, and we will give you that information next Monday. I don't know if that answers the question about the playbook, though.
Luis Acaro is asking, is there a maximum number of visas that can be applied to by a company? He's thinking about coming with a large part of the team. And he adds, I understand for the founder that it's important to establish a company, that it's necessary that he be here with a visa, but he's not sure if it's necessary for the rest of the team. So how many visas can we have?
Okay, so you can, again, the program will reimburse visas and tickets only for team leader and team members. If you wish to bring employees, you can bring as many employees as you want, but they will have to pay for their own costs. So if that's something that's good for your business, it's up to you. We don't mind if you want to bring 15 people, for example, your entire team. And in regards to the question about the incorporation of the company, how was that question again?
No, it was just regarding the visa, saying that he understood it was necessary for
Him
the
to have the
founder
visa.
to come. But
Okay, so if you want people to receive a salary in Chile, they will necessarily have to have a visa that will allow them to work in Chile. Otherwise, they will be here and they won't be able to work.
Yeah.
So yes, they do have to have a visa if you want them to work for you. If you want to pay them while they're abroad, that's also an option, right?
Yeah, that's not like that.
Yeah, that's a little bit too specific.
Yeah, very related to that. Also, if you plan to use the budget into salaries for yourself or for your team members, you will have to incorporate in Chile. Okay, that's very important. The option that we have to be able to approve salaries during the stage that you are needs that you pass through the incorporation process here in Chile, because we can only reimburse to Chilean companies. Okay.
Herman is asking, I'm trying to get a SAC number for my spouse. What should I write regarding her activity in Chile?
She's dependent. She has to have a dependent visa. It's a different option for her.
And then there's Kenneth asking, is it possible for the team leader to travel out of Chile for 1 or 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yes, as long as those, for example, business trip that you need don't overlap with some of the mandatory activities, we will always approve all the business trip that you may need to develop your own startup. Okay, but we privilege the participation in mandatory activities. So try to, if you will need to do some business trips, try to start scheduling once you receive the playbook that you will receive the mandatory dates, and plan accordingly for you to don't have any problem later during the participation.
And a similar question is it compulsory that the team leader be in Chile for the whole program, or can a team member substitute for him until the contract needs to be signed?
The obligation to be residing and to actually be here in Chile is for the team member.
Team leader.
Oh, sorry, for the team leader. Sorry. So as I was telling you, we can approve these business trips, but take note of the mandatory activities.
And if they do book a two-way ticket, when does the program officially end?
Okay. The formal duration of the program is 7 months after the total formalization of your contract, meaning that you will arrive here, you will sign a contract later, kind of like a month later, and after that contract is fully formalized inside Corfo, you will receive a formal copy that indicates that your project has already started. After that date, you will need to consider exactly 7 months.
So give or take, I think it's like 8 months and a half.
Yeah.
Since your arrival date.
Could be 9 months.
Yeah.
Around.
So if you get here on the 17th of July, you have to count from that date, almost 9 months that you have to be in Chile.
Chappelle is asking, he'll need to bring at least 20 devices to start working right away. How will customs work in this case? Will we have any issues bringing in 20 devices in Chile?
Oh, but you need to bring them with you
straight away,
or can they be sent like afterwards?
You can ship them maybe afterwards to avoid, because once you have your contract signed, everything with customs will be easier.
Yeah.
Once you have your Corfo contract signed.
And someone's asking again, could we get the fund without incorporation in Chile?
Yes. The fund, you will receive it either you incorporate or not. Okay, but if you plan to use part of that funds to salaries, you will need to incorporate.
And regarding immigration, is it better to have a one-way ticket or round ticket?
I don't think that matters because you get 365-day visa, and most round-way tickets I think last for 364 days. So to be honest, I don't know. I have not heard that it's been an issue for anyone before. I don't think it should be, because you can always say that you can leave the country through land to Mendoza, or I don't know, Mendoza is 3-hour drive away, so I don't think it should be a problem.
No, I don't think so either.
And regarding the previous question about the devices, he needs to bring at least 20, and after contract is signed, import 500 more.
Okay, this is the type of question that you should address to your account executive once you know who she or he is after the step 4. Okay?
That happens on the week of the 10th as well, step 3, which I think it's like the 12th. You already have the calendar. You should know when step 3 is. No, sorry, it's step 4. Step 4 is me, your account executive. Yeah.
And regarding the calendar, are mandatory activities scheduled in the shared calendar?
Not yet, no. That will be updated once we send you the playbook and the calendar.
A question from Kenneth. Do you have information that could help us to register a company in Chile in order to be able to receive salaries?
Yes, but you cannot do that until you have registered yourself your visa here and you have your own Chilean ID. So it's a very, it's a as any landing in any country, it's a process that has a lot of steps. So you could go through the information, but I don't know if it would give you any, if it would, I don't know if at this point it would be helpful for you to know all that, because you won't be able to do anything until you actually get here. So
what I think that could be useful in this case is that we have some perks, and those perks we have some accountants and we have some law offices that can help you and can actually you can pay them so that they can give their support and they can guide you through the whole incorporation process. Okay, so there are options, but all of this, as Trini said, can be done once you arrive here in Chile.
And also do keep in mind that all suppers have done this, have been through the process. So once you get in touch with your landing buddy and once you're in the Facebook participant groups, you will be able to ask all these kind of questions to people that have been actually through the process and will be very good in giving you advice.
Another question from Gassan. Are living costs included under the salary option, or is it a separate reimbursement? Because if it is considered as salary, then it will become mandatory to incorporate in Chile.
Great question. It's not mandatory to incorporate in Chile, but you have to choose between presenting housing costs or presenting salaries for the following months. Okay, so we are not able to approve both salaries and housing costs during the same month. So if you don't plan to incorporate here in Chile, you could present during the total months of the program, you could only present your housing costs, for example. And if you need salaries for you or for your team members, you will need the incorporation process. But once you start presenting salaries, you can't go back to housing costs. Okay? So we have both options. Both options can't be taken at the same time. Okay? So that's kind of why it's not mandatory to incorporate here in Chile.
And Gabriel Bustamante is asking, saying we need to incorporate in order to pay our salaries in Chile. Do you help and support to do the incorporation process, so legal requirements, government processes, etc.?
As we were saying, we help through the perks. As we are a public entity, we don't take any equity of your startups. We can't interfere or suggest or to direct your own startup to a certain path. But what we can do is to offer the support that we have of ourselves and in the perks and some other members of the community that could help you and guide you through how to do correctly that process.
And how long does the incorporation process take to be fully completed?
In Chile, we have two ways of incorporation. One is like the traditional method that could take like a month and it's a little more expensive. And the other way, it's called Empresa en un día, but they are very limited types of enterprises that can be done using that method. And it's cheaper and it's faster. So you will need to check if that type of enterprise fits what you plan to do here in Chile, even after the Startup Chile program. And you need to choose one of the two methods. But the one that could take like the longest time will take approximately a month.
And Luis is asking, when you set salaries, are you only talking about a person registered as an employee in Chile, or could it be freelance or contractor, monthly payment too?
Okay.
Not from Chile.
No. For us, salaries only means members of the team. All other related people, for example, members of your team that could come to Chile but are not part, that will not appear in the contract, for example, for us, they are experts. And they are treated a little bit differently than the members. And all other, for example, freelancers, those are considered outsourcings for us and don't apply the same rules than the salaries. So you, for example, you could hire outsourcings in Chile or from abroad, even if you don't incorporate here.
Chanvel has a question regarding visa. So does the background check certificate need to have Aya Aposia to be uploaded on the SAC form?
I I'm not sure. Then again, these requirements are very specific and dependent on the consulate and the country. If it's not a pain for you to get it apostillado, I suggest you do it. But then again, you can always call the consulate or send them an email and ask them what the specific requirement is.
And Jitlin has a question. Do US business B1, B2 visa holders need to apply for a visa?
I don't know that type of visa. US business visa holders. Very specific. Need to apply for a visa. So wait, Jidin, do you hold a Chilean visa? Is that a Chilean type of visa? If so, and you have a Chilean ID number that is currently working, that has not expired, then you shouldn't have to apply for another visa. But you have to be very certain that you have a Chilean ID root number that is valid. Otherwise, you're gonna be in a huge problem if you don't apply now for the visa, and it's gonna be a very bad snowball effect for everything that comes later, and the payments will come later, and we don't want to go through that path.
Infoloro has a question. Can we pay a team member who is in the application, but he is from the States or in the States?
Yeah.
And he will remain in the States? If that's the case, unfortunately, no, because he will need to be hired by the Chilean company. Please remember that we can't approve expenses for your own companies that are not from Chile, okay? So if he will remain in the States, we won't be able to approve salaries through the Startup Chile program.
And Kenneth has a question. Can we expense the incorporation process?
Yes.
And Jitin is saying, we have a US visa. Does that make our Chilean visa application different?
No. You already hold if you have a US visa, that will be no good for you here in Chile at all. Completely. No. You need a Chilean visa to live and work in Chile.
And Infoloro is saying, could we get the fund without incorporation in Chile?
Yes. The reception of the fund is not mandatory to be incorporated, just for the salaries.
Daniel Pino is saying it would be helpful to have access to that Facebook group where you can find apartments.
Yes, okay, so what we're gonna do is, in step 3, we're gonna include the information for participant Facebook group. So that's gonna come out on Monday. That's my promise to you, so that you can start reaching out to the community. So on Monday, you will get Landing Buddy and Facebook participant group.
And Infoloro has another question. What is the total fund that they can receive?
The total fund will be 25 million Chilean pesos.
With the possibility of an extension.
Yeah, with the possibility of an extension, obviously.
If you win the extension. So what happens is, by the end of the program, we will hold a competition.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can call it a competition, but because, okay.
Yeah, the projects that fulfill the objectives that you will be setting with us once you arrive to the program, and the startups that use the funds properly are eligible to go through an extension process. Okay, you will have to participate in 2 mandatory activities. One is the pitch day, where you will be presenting your own startup and your progress during the program to all of your generation and some other people that we invite. And after, you will have the demo day. And the projects that win both contests, kind of for calling it away, are eligible to receive the extension. And the extension is an extra 25 million Chilean pesos. So if you go and you get the extension, the total funds that you will receive is 50 million Chilean pesos.
So why is it not a competition? Because we don't have a specific number of extensions that we can provide. So basically, if 25 projects do have fulfilled the requirements that Cesar is telling you, then the 25 startups will actually get the extension. So it's not like you're competing for slots. it all depends on your own progress.
Also, very important, to receive the extension, you will have to be incorporated here in Chile.
You just answered all the questions regarding exception. But then, Gabriel Bustamante, what are the taxes involved during our stay? Social security, rent tax, salary tax, company tax, etc.
As you will be working in Chile, you will be subject to all the tax regulations that we have in Chile. We have taxes regarding the purchase of goods and services. We have taxes that regulate the nature relationship between you and your employees. For example, if you use outsourcing, there's also a different tax. But we will explain all of this in the mandatory workshops once you arrive here to Chile.
And Kenneth is asking, if we receive salaries, can we expense other stuff like server processing, flights, etc.?
Yes. The only expense that can't be presented if you will be presenting salaries are housing costs. All of their project-related expenses will be approved.
However, regarding transportation,
Okay.
yes.
We have, during the same workshops that we were telling you before, we'll explain some rules of expenses that can't be approved under any circumstance. And we have, for example, food, we have investment in the capital market, we have intra-urban transport, for example, alcohol, obviously, and expenses that are not related to the project. And we'll explain this with very detail during the workshops once we arrive here.
I think PR.
Yeah.
PR expenses are also not covered. So,
Martin Celesta is saying, sorry for asking this again, but just to be sure, at this stage, can we make housing payments?
Sorry, what? At this stage?
At
this stage,
right now, can they make housing payments?
No. It's for starting the 17th of, or if you get here a few days before the program starts, but not this early.
DM Labs, is it possible to be outside the country for a week while in the program?
Yes, as long as there are no mandatory activities that the team leader should attend, we can approve business trips, for example.
And Federico Leo, can I finish my visa process after the 3rd of June, the date we were given? Because I have a date to renew it on the 13th of June. If not, which expiration date and other data should I enter? Is it best that he email you?
Yeah, in this specific case, I prefer that you send me an email to the admission, and we'll see how we'll manage your case. This is because you're renewing your passport. Did I understand correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not very ideal because it takes away like 10 days of possible procedure, but we'll see how we will handle that.
A question from Luis. An Argentinian needs a visa if there isn't a member of the team informed in the contract, for example, an expert, or he can arrive to Chile as a tourist.
No, the idea is that he arrives here with a visa if you're planning on paying him. So even if he's just an employee, we can, as I said before, we can still help you with a visa, but he will have to pay for the tickets and for the costs related to the visa.
Chantal, can salaries be counted since day one? So we don't need to present living expenses and can go with Airbnb without problem?
As you will have to actually get, first of all, you will need to regulate your own staying here in Chile. So you will need to get your own documents, your own Chilean ID, your residence, and after that, you will have to do the incorporation process. So I don't think it's possible to start it day one if you don't have a company here in Chile yet. So my suggestion is to consider that for the first month or for the first 2 months, you will be able to present housing costs. And once you have your company set it here in Chile, you have all the needed documents, then you will get the approval, and after that you can start presenting salaries. So I don't think it's possible to do it from day one, but as you have the option to present housing costs.
But don't worry too much about housing. Consider that we receive around 100 foreign entrepreneurs every year, and each of them end up located and find a house somewhere or another. And the community is very active and is very helpful. So there's always options that are valid and different from Airbnb options.
Usman is asking, if a project satisfies the necessary procedure for the extension, do I have an obligation to stay in Santiago de Chile for another 7 months, so a total of 14 months, to get the additional 25?
Yeah, the extension will be of 5 months, so you will complete a year. And if you are the team leader, you have the obligation to stay here during this time frame, because the extension adds up to the active months of the project, so faces the same rules than that we are telling you right now.
And a lot of people are asking for to remind them of the main contact point or the admissions email.
So admission@startupchile.org. It's the email that I've been sending you steps to. You should all have it by now, I guess.
And then a question from Daniel Pino. So let's say we want to get salaries, but to do that, we need to incorporate. What happens to the salaries of the first few months until the incorporation process happens?
You can't consider salaries for the first months if you are not incorporated here in Chile. So that's why I was telling you that the usual thing that startups that want to incorporate here in Chile do is that they charge to the program housing costs during the first 2 months, and after they have all needed documentation, all the personal documentation and the company documentation, then they start claiming salaries.
This is why maybe it's not so recommendable to bring along all your employees straight away, because you won't be able to pay them before you get your company incorporated in Chile. So to keep in mind.
And a question from Gabriel Bustamante: what taxes apply for salaries in Chile?
So it's like a 20%.
Yeah, depending on the nature of the salary, if you will use boleta de honorarios or you will use the traditional method, is kind of different, the amounts of taxes that you will have to pay, but it's around 10% and a 20%.
Yeah, it's like 17%.
A question from Rodrigo: just out of curiosity, how many Mexican projects are in this program G22?
I don't have that information at the tip of my tongue.
Me neither.
But we have it, of course. If your landing buddy will most likely be a Mexican. If you want to have this information very badly, you can email me and I'll tell you the other projects that are Mexican.
And what about for the co-work? Some were asking where the
co-work
workshops take place and all that, so they can find housing.
Okay, so can we type in something there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to type in the address of the main co-work, which is Monjitas 565. Okay, this is located in the subway station called Metro Bellas Artes. It's a very nice downtown neighborhood. There's a lot of coffee places and bars and restaurants, and there's a lot of nightlife going on here. So it's almost a very touristy place. Marine is going to help us typing up the address so that you can, and the company that we use that provides our services is called Cowork Latam. I'm going to look it up.
Paula has a question. In the documents for the visa, that los documentos de soporte for the dependents, do they also have to upload the invitation letter?
Yes, please. Dependents also have to upload invitation letters, even though their name does not appear in the letter. It doesn't matter.
And in Foloro, when are we receiving the fund?
So that's 2 months after you arrive, give or take.
And when do we know about the extension?
At the end of the program.
And her last question, I need to upload criminal, mandatory, and health exam to apply. Does she need to apply the criminal, mandatory, and health exam to apply to the SAC application, or just prepare them for the interview?
No, you have to upload them. I suggest you upload them.
And then Gabriel Bustamante, how much does the co-working space cost, or is it provided by the program
It's a perk.
outside of the?
You don't have to pay. We provide the office space. The co-work is a very, very cool place. We'll try to hold our next webinar session there so that we can show you in the camera. So basically, our executive director loves to say that that's where the magic happens, because that's where all suppers meet. That's where all our mandatory activities are. It's a really nice place downtown. So you get to meet people from other generations, alumni. We hold sub-lunches every last Friday of the month where we invite everyone and we just mingle. And so you get to see also other demo days or pitch days from other generations. So yeah, the co-work is a very cool place. We strongly suggest that you use it. Don't stay home, go to the co-work. It's gonna be very helpful for you to mingle with the community, to reach out, to talk to people.
A question from Daniel Pino. What taxes, again, apply for salaries in Chile?
20%.
And because it says there's a maximum you can pay in salaries, so it'd be good to know how much is actually left.
Okay, the maximum amount is including taxes. So that's that's what you want to know.
Yeah. So that you have to take away 20%,
Yes.
and that's going to be in your pocket.
And then Kenneth is asking, how are we getting the reimbursements? Do you provide a Chilean bank account?
Yes. So during their first week here is the week that we called orientation week. During that week, which for you guys is going to be only 3 days because you start on a Wednesday, you will go through this landing process that I was telling you about that basically consists in you going to register your visa, you going to get an ID Chilean number, and you opening up a bank account. And we will guide you through this process, and it's going to be very smooth, so no worries. The promise is that by the end of this first week, you will pretty much have things up and running to get your hands in your business.
Then Felipe is saying, can I win Capital Expande and this at the same time?
That's a Corfo fund?
Yeah, there are some Capital Expande, like Semilla Expande. If you're Chilean and you're asking for the program called Semilla Expande, that program is not possible to have at the same time than the Startup Chile benefits. The Corfo funds related to the Semilla are very similar to the ones that we apply here in the seed. The only difference is the acceleration program. So you can take both funds. So my advice is to see what of the two fits better what you want to do, and you can just take one of them.
So if you have both of them and you've already confirmed, you will probably want to get back to us as soon as you make a decision as to with which fund you will be working.
He was talking about Semilla.
Okay.
So you will probably have to make up your mind.
Queenie Lopez said on the group, for all participants, I suggest doing a WhatsApp group to share information, but you'll be doing
Yeah, if you want to do the group, you can get in touch with me and send me an email through the admission and we can work together on that.
And then Charbel, what is the amount for salary approved?
Monthly?
For team members?
It's 1 million Chilean pesos for team leader and team members.
And in Follodo, I submitted the application for the visa without uploading the documents. Can I revise them? It takes some time to get those documents, so like the medical and the background check. And also, can we have more detail how to get those documents in the US?
Again, that's very specific to each consulate. We don't have that information for the, 200 consulates that Chile has in the world. So what we always say is reach out to the consulate of choice to see what the requirements are. I don't think that you can upload a new application if you have one running until they're rejected. This means it'll probably be delayed. You will have to wait the rejection to start the process again. Yes, I'm very sorry. I thought that the manual was very clear on this.
And then Kenneth has a question. Where do you suggest we should live in order to reduce transportation costs?
As Trini said, there's a metro station near the co-work, so it's very accessible. And that's completely up to you. I don't know if we can suggest something like that.
Yeah.
But
A lot of entrepreneurs seem to live in Providencia.
yeah, around Santiago Centro, Providencia, that's like the usual.
Yeah. It also depends on how much you want to spend on accommodation. There's a big gap in housing costs depending on where you want to live. So then again, you can always Google all this information.
And then DM Labs, does the organization provide any help with the guarantee policies?
No. For renting, you mean? ¿Póliza de garantía? For the renting? Can you be more specific with your question? Because, I mean, most rentals will ask you for a month or two in advance. Unfortunately, I don't think we can help with that. No. If it's not that, then...
And then Kenneth is asking, what's the average cost for accommodation? So, for example, in Providencia.
It's very variable. I don't know.
And it depends if he's looking for an apartment or
exactly. If you want to rent a room or you want a whole apartment. And in Providencia, you have buildings that are just built last year, and then you have buildings from the 1950s, and of course the 1915 buildings are a lot cheaper. So there's several online sites that you can search in. I don't know, Portal Inmobiliario, Comparto Debto. So all these tips and pieces, you can also Google them, like how to look for apartments in Santiago. So we also recommend that you just Google, use Google.
And DM Labs is asking, does the organization provide any help with the guarantee policies? Pólizas de garantía,
Pólizas de garantía.
And the project.
Okay.
But
we are not entirely sure what you're asking us, but if it's the policy that you should pay in case of rent, then the answer is no. We don't help in that process, and for example, some of the costs of the initial process of the housing, we are not able to approve them also. So I think what we are understanding, the answer is no.
If you can be more specific as to what insurance or insurance applied to what?
She specified the project.
The money? You mean the fund? La póliza del fondo.
Oh, you mean to receive the funds? Yes. We have two ways of receiving the funds. One is called the reimbursement method. And using the reimbursement method means that you will be using your own funds, and then we'll reimburse what you spent. And the other method is in case that you don't have funds to actually use in your project, we have the option called the upfront method. To use the upfront method, you will have to pay a policy, but we'll do all step by step for you, and we'll send how to pay, when to pay, where to pay, because we have an agreement with an insurance company, and we get a better price by quoting all of the startups together. So we'll inform you everything step by step once you arrive here in Chile.
DM Lab says, thank you. Okay. And Kenneth is asking, if we receive salary, what should we do to have medical insurance?
You will need to pay for the medical insurance.
It depends if you want to use the public system or you want to use a private system.
Yeah.
Either way, you will be. There's a percentage that will always be destined to pay So it's a 7%. So what happens here is that if you want to use a public system, then that 7% goes automatically to the public system. But if you want to pay for a private system, then you just have to pay for the difference, 7% plus whatever the difference is, to pay for the private insurance. What private insurance, again, that's a totally personal decision that you will have to make on your own according to the information that you can gather in the community.
For now, there aren't any other questions.
Okay. Perfect. So I think that's it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, guys, so we hope this made things a little bit more clear for you. We know it's a lot of information. We know there's a lot going on when you're changing countries and everything that you need to be thinking of. We know it's a lot to take, but we're here to help you. We're here to provide all the support we can. Do think that starting from Monday, you will have the support of the community as well. The community in Startup Chile is one of our biggest assets. People love it here. People love to be a supper. So you will see that you will have a lot of support once you start interacting with them. So if that's it for now, thank you for your time. Please, those that have not started the visa process, do start it now. Do get this is why you have a week to do it. So do get all the required documents before you finish and submit the SAC form. Make sure that you follow all those steps very carefully, because this is a very sensitive procedure, and we want it to have the best outcome ever, and we want all of you to be here on the 17th. So yes, that's what we can tell you by now. Have a great day. There's something else?
One last question from Infolog. How much does it cost to incorporate in Chile? How much time do we need, and what are the requirements?
Depending on the method that you choose to incorporate, it could be around, I think that the cheaper option is less than 50,000 Chilean pesos, and the other option is around 200 and 250, depending. Remember that all of these expenses, depending whether the method that you choose, can be charged to the program. And as I told you, one takes around a few days, and the other can take around a month.
Okay, so yeah, so now we're done. Okay, guys, have a great day. See you for our next webinar. Check your calendars for the dates and for the next steps. And yeah, welcome again. Welcome
Bye.
aboard. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.